starting things off from Alpha Axe, the Blue Zerg. Hopefully for real this time. Drum roll, please. And a zoom in. Close up. There it is. Ragnarok.
You asked the musician for a drum roll. I delivered. I don't know if you heard it. In the top right, his opponent, the Red Terran player for the Shopify Rebellion. This is Bjorn. Bjorn really went all out on his internal decorating there. Let's see what I can figure out. There's a whale. There is a slightly smaller, cute creature. And I believe that's a can of Febreze.
Maybe. Perhaps, yeah.
I vaguely recognize that packaging. I mean, there's not a lot of universal things in the world, but the distinct shape of Febreze, I'd see anywhere.
It's color coordinated with the whale, of course. So you can see you put some effort into it.
Ooh, okay. So
nice.
Ragnarok's going for a little bit more greedy on the aggression here. It's a little bit of a pool first action, and he does have the gas with it, so it is going to be an opportunity to get incredibly quick speed against an opponent who is doing his own level of weird. I mean, it's not insanely weird, but building the barracks on the low ground, definitely not the normal.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wonder how much he's going to invest into this. Like, 2 Zerglings right now on the production, probably going to go up to 6 at least, right? No, he's gone back into drones. Okay. Huh. Interesting.
I suppose this is probably just a bit of anti-Reaper timing. It's not uncommon for Bjorn to open with the maybe even just like 1 proxy barracks to get Reapers out early, and that seems to be just a bit of anti-play in that regard. Even sending the Overlord very wide there to avoid getting sniped off by potential Marines. Ragnarok's kind of covering all of his bases right now, and he's going to pick up the 3rd base. So now he just needs to defend and get back on track, and he should be okay.
Yep. Yep, he is having a little bit of a rough time getting something across the map here to have eyes on what his opponent is doing exactly. But seeing those Marine numbers, overall, you kind of get a clue that, well, at least there's a barracks producing Marines one at a time. Other than that, well, it's quite likely, right, to go for the command center afterwards. That is kind of still a guess that Ragnarok is doing. You would love to verify that information.
And this kind of just is a very, very interesting style of opening here, where Ragnarok's going to try to be able to capitalize on a little bit of this map control, but won't be able to push on in. He's going to get the Marines, and that's a good start, but I worry that's just going to be where it ends. Having those buildings down at the ramp is going to be increasingly good here for Bjorn, as he's going to have a lot more surface area to be able to protect. The Cyclone's going to come out on the backside of this to start working away at any potential high ground vision that Overlords could potentially offer. And a reactored barracks, this is pretty well protected here so far for Bjorn. Ragnarok's got the production, but yeah, he's got to slip back into drones. He's not going to be able to overwhelm.
Yeah, exactly. It's makes life difficult for Bjorn. Had there been something like Hellions, maybe, you know, this would be easier to clean up. But with just the Cyclone here, actually, the Cyclone, is that a mistake? Was it a mistake? No, it's picked up. Wow.
He picked it up.
But the Zerglings inside of the base now, they are gonna have a little bit of a scout.
Okay. That was almost a very carefully crafted. Oh no, this would just be okay.
Yep.
Like that would just be the mistake of the year. Bjorn gets really fancy with the lift micro. Losing 16 Zerglings for a scout and a couple of workers. I mean, I think it confirms the fact that there is no 3rd base on the way at this point, which is important, knowing that that is not on the table just yet. It is just getting started. 6 Overlords right now. Ragnarok taking some lessons from a laser on that Overlord production, but getting supply block to get an opponent like Bjorn is kind of a scary deal here. But pushing across the map, getting the armory, this is going to start getting aggressive here for Bjorn, who needs to start capitalizing on his delayed economy.
Yeah, Bjorn loves those Hellbats, doesn't he? Truly does. And, well, if he manages to pick up a queen or something, anything here, really, with these Marines and the Cyclone, that would be fantastic as well. That's going to truly empower the next set of units here. Doesn't quite manage, but a little bit of damage already on that Queen. Softens her up for the Banshee and the Hellbats later down the line. Or the Cyclone itself, of course, once again. As it is just still there, got fully repaired, so... yeah, this could be scary. This could be quite scary. There's no Baneling Nest either. No quick way to just morph some of those Zerglings into Banelings and deal with this. This is gonna have to be requiring a little bit of delicate Zerg finessing here.
And Zerg and Finesse sometimes go together. We'll have to see if Ragnarok's able to capitalize on this. That Spore Crawler not going to be able to work its way to the front line. That takes away a bunch of detection opportunities here, but the Banshee's just going to go straight into the main at this point. Nice little surround so far with those Zerglings trying to get to the soft underbelly, and they are able to work away at all of these units, picking up enough of those Hellbats, getting more of those Marines off the table. Bjorn's going to have to step back, and now this is starting to look like a very strong position here for the Zerg player, who is still losing a little bit, but is now starting to stabilize and going to try and push across the map and see no third base just yet.
Yeah, the third base is morphing in the main base. It's about to be an orbital, and only now we see the fourth base for Ragnarok. Has me a little bit worried if Bjorn is going to be able to set up that third base this close to, you know, the fourth base timing of the Zerg, then... well, there could be a moment here where Bjorn is just going to have a bit more production than Ragnarok would like to have him have, you know, in comparison to what he has.
I mean, I'm feeling really good. If Ragnarok can get his bank spent down, he's got 1,000 minerals banked up right now. But now he's going to start throwing down some upgrades. He gets that macro hatch down. He's got a fourth base on the way already. From a development standpoint, Ragnarok in a very, very crisp position here. He's limited the amount of damage that Bjorn was actually able to take. I think he was expecting to get way more response damage here with that double Banshee follow-up, and it just did not connect the way it needed to. So now Ragnarok able to pick away at more of Bjorn's economy. It's 69 workers to 56 at the 7.5-minute mark, Kozan. That is not a strong position for the Terran player.
That's true. That's true. But, and again, I mean, Bjorn, he's going to be able to find those very cost-efficient trades here with these Marines and the Medivacs. There is a Hydra Den ready, so we will be having some Hydras added in. Until then, it's going to be up to the Queens to try and poke away at those Medivacs. Let's see how much Bjorn still will be able to do with this small batch of units. Still a Queen available as well. Gonna draw some attention away here with the Marines first, and... gets 2 drones? Should be able to get a second drone.
Should be able to. I mean, that Spore's going to finish up here, and the roaming Queen should be able to clean up the rest of this. It's continued harassment here for Bjorn, but he's not getting the connection that he needs right now. It's not going to obviously dissuade him. He's the king of small harassment. Picking up a couple of Banelings is always really good. And now jumping around. Oh, he's going to use the mid-ground in between to put some Marines down. Those are going to be well protected here from the likes of the Zerglings. The Queens might have something to say here at some point. It is going to be +1 finishing up here for Ragnarok. So his army's going to get a little bit stronger, but the Queen's a little bit out of position here as reinforcements come streaming on in. Those are going to be Queens ripe for the picking here. One does end up going down. Not nearly as much damage for Bjorn so far, and I think that's just the overarching story in this game 1.
Yeah, some 6 splitting there from Ragnarok against those Widow Mines as well happening. Impressive stuff so far. Army supply for Bjorn is still teetering close to that of Ragnarok. But Ragnarok has his 5th base on the way. Bjorn has his 4th base on the way. And yeah, Ragnarok, like you said, he seems like he is holding on for the time being able to control these areas. He's got more than enough Zerglings here, and as well as on the other side. At least should. Well, the Marines are coming out of there. There we go. Yeah, with the upgrades being similar, it's quite difficult for the Marines there, unless if they really have a choke points, right?
Yeah, The choke is really important, especially for those drops. The SimCity of the Zerg player, always very, very important. Having to cancel that to base, I mean, it's not great, but I don't think it's consequential at this point. Ragnarok has some advancement going on the lower right-hand side of the map. If we take a look at the units lost, it's 115 Zerglings down, but the gas has been a bit more of an investment for the Terran player, which I think is good for Ragnarok. He's got a pretty decent economy set up, 86 workers. He's going to be able to throw away Zerglings if he needs to, just to continue trading out against this bio-heavy army. It's the Hydras that are going to now start building up with this Baneling count. That will be important for Ragnarok to take over control, as he is going to be maxed out, trying to get a little bit of the harassment cleaned up on the left-hand side. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Ragnarok start moving across the map. There goes one of those drops, and now suddenly that could be a trigger moment here for Ragnarok to move across.
Yeah. Well, Bjorn, once again here onto the creep, is going to be able to deal quite well with the creep tumors so far. Yeah, I mean, Ragnarok being able to push it out a little bit, just barely enough. It's, also, again, right, teetering on that point where perhaps Bjorn is going to be able to get a little bit too quickly on top of those hatcheries. I'm thinking about the ones in on the bottom side there in particular. And coming in from the northern side on that third base as well, right? It seems like there might just be two. Then again, he would have to get there first, and he would have to survive against all these Banelings. Oh my, that's a lot of Banelings.
Yeah, no tank coverage here. Very good micro against those Widow Mines. I mean, these are impressive splits here, getting as much value as possible out of this army, but at some point, there's just nothing left to split. And these units are going to start getting overwhelmed, but it is going to be a trade on the opposite side of the map here. Bjorn going in with a scary-sized army here. It's similar worker trades on both ends. It's just a matter of whether or not Bjorn's going to be able to recover from this overwhelming shot to his production. But Bjorn is getting decent damage on the opposite side as well.
Yeah, he managed to take down the Baneling Nest. It seems like as that is being reproduced right now, a big deal. Those are very useful units to have against someone that purely has Marines right now, pretty much. Ooh, these Marines, they get surrounded. Again, that's a bit of a nasty engagement right there for Bjorn. Especially with the Queen still poking away, are going to be able to pick off some of those medevacs. The army supply for Bjorn has dropped significantly with it. And there is the GG. Tap out. Ragnarok takes game number 1.
Yeah, I guess I often forget about that. I'm not a city dweller. I don't live in the land of a lot of people. I live in the land of a lot of land. And I forget that oftentimes those commodities are put together into one space. Now, this is a bold move here. Ragnarok is on his side of the map going, all right, where are the barracks at? Where did they proxy? Meanwhile, Bjorn's just going to go for command center first. What a perfect parallel opposite.
Yep. Yeah, Bjorn, I don't know how exactly, but it feels like he just has this thing where he manages to get the correct opening against his opponent. I don't know how he does it, really, but like 90% of the time, right, in this game of StarCraft, you have a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors. If someone goes spawning pool first, you don't really want to go command center first, right, which is what we had the last game. And it just works out when he picks command center first, and then suddenly Ragnarok, you know, he's going for the hatchery first. No gas whatsoever, just the spawning pool a little bit later to be safe against the Reaper. And that's it, right? He just, yeah. It's like another sense that he has in his brain somewhere unlocked.
Well, what I think is even more interesting is the development beyond that. So it is going to be double barracks behind it into just that Marine production once again. So this could still potentially be a really aggressive opening that just has better economy on the front side of it. So Ragnarok's going to need to get a really important scout. He is keeping those overlords back and away right now. And I think there's a lot more opportunity that hasn't been taken advantage of yet. I mean, the top side with a lot of dead space here in Stargazers is an easy opportunity for those overlords to sneak in, but it's not going to be the case right now. Bjorn went really, really aggressive after those overlords, so Ragnarok has to play a little bit more cautiously, and I think now is going to be an opportunity for him to try and get some initial information. This is going to be important.
Yeah, is he going to be able to see those barracks here, or is he going to be shot down by the first couple of Marines? I will just kind of... Okay. I mean, that's fine as well. Just moving back here a little bit.
I mean, that early stem.
Yeah, he was on the right trajectory, but losing an Overlord when you're not ready to lose an Overlord can hurt quite as badly, right? And, well, it looks like he needs that Overlord right now.
I mean, this is going to be just kind of a set of mixed signals here for Ragnarok. He is going to see just a normal expand. Should be maybe even a bit earlier than normal, just in terms of the fact that the orbital's already done and in place. And this should start giving him maybe a little bit of alarm bells. That third base is going to finish up. His queen production is still normal. Drones, I mean, this is going to be the moment here. Yeah, like, this is a very aggressive amount of Marines to try and defend that information, but Ragnarok's going to be left wondering, trying to figure out what the heck's going on.
Yeah, I mean, he also sent in the Zerglings at the same time, right? So you can see that there is still 4 Marines in that bunker also, so it gives him a little bit of insight as to how many Marines are exactly being produced, and it doesn't seem like the number you would get off of just one of those barracks, right?
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah.
Especially since one of them already has Stimpack that is just finished up off of a tech lab, and it's, again, this is going to be a critical moment. We've got 2 of those medevacs coming out. There's going to be 16 Marines at a slightly odd-footed timing. It's going to have combat shield behind it as well. This is about to get incredibly aggressive here for Bjorn, who is at least keeping track with the economy a bit better this time around, keeping the distance between workers a little bit closer.
Yep. Didn't have those very aggressive Zerglings across the map this time around either, so... I mean, overall, those Zerglings, I'm trying to recall, they didn't do that much, right? They kind of... They didn't even really delay the third base. Well, they went in afterwards. They killed 2 SCVs on the gas, but that was about it. Yeah, actually, interesting how that game then still developed afterwards, but... Oh well, moving on. Moving on. Just suddenly me being fascinated about that previous game again. Lair coming up together with the Baneling Nest, looking well timed out so that we can have that Baneling speed start up quite quickly. And a third base for Bjorn as well behind this. Wants to have that pocket expansion here. I like that a lot of Zergs are just ignoring their own pocket base, realizing, you know what, you would love me to take that base, wouldn't you? Just so
it's just so easy to harass.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so keeping these units off of creep right now, trying to preserve some of those creep tumors. But now Stimpack is going to be shown alongside that combat shield. Ragnarok has to make some adjustments here. Those queens very, very exposed right now. A couple of good transfuses as the Lings now finally have the numbers and the positioning to get on top of things. It was an okay Widowmine shot, but not finding the damage that it needed there for sure. So now Queens once again going to try and poke away at these units. Banelings now finally are in the mix, so this should push Beyond it back in a way. Ragnarok's did a decent job of cornering this army off, so Beyond not going to be able to get the tactical advantage he's looking for, but he is going to possibly find this 4th base and start pushing on that as well.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit less creep here. It's going to be more difficult for the Queens to fully zone away those Marines. So the Marines really just want to try to target down as many Banelings as they can right now, and, well, they succeed. They lose, like, maybe 2 Marines, 3 Marines there, but, hey, he killed a lot more Banelings overall.
I mean, 6 in total going down. It's a decent enough exchange, but as long as Ragnarok is exchanging out his army for army rather than losing valuable drones, I think that can be mitigated over the course of the game, because Ragnarok's going to start getting across the map. He'll start putting on his own pressure and possibly able to turn those early losses into bigger wins down the road. Preserving that economy, very, very important here for Ragnarok as he's getting his 1-1 for melee and ground carapace. +1 just now finishing up here for Bjorn, so this will be continued aggression, and I think he's going to leave that bottom base a little exposed right now.
Yeah, as Marines are there. Ragnarok seemingly just waiting to pounce on this natural base, however. Not that many Marines available right now, but a second wall goes up with a bunker there. And as the rest of the Marines, so only 6 SCVs go down, and I don't think Ragnarok was looking for those numbers. He Probably would have liked to get a little bit more there. As Bjorn is now ahead in the overall worker count.
Yeah, that bunker actually sticking around. That's usually a bunker that gets picked up as a salvage early on in the game and ended up being a very valuable tool in that defense. So Baneling's not able to wrap around in multiple locations. The workers able to kind of hold their own here. Hydroden's going to be finishing up for Ragnarok in just a moment as Bjorn is continuing just to double down on his bio count here. A nice little drop going to go on the high side of the map. And this is the kind of the medevac play we were talking about earlier, Kozan, where there's a lot of space up here for these medevacs to do some incredible drop play.
Yep, and in he comes. Those Marines quickly stimming forwards, trying to get some distance between them and the Queens. Widow mines in the ground, trying to deal the best with the clumped up Zerglings, and they get all right connections, but the medevacs are targeted down by the Queens, and everything will die there for Bjorn as well. As this is starting to get a little bit intense, the gold base already being taken here by Ragnarok in the middle. That would be wonderful for him, of course, if he manages to mine from there, even ever so slightly.
I think that's going to be a tall order. I definitely know that Bjorn is going to stay focused on that bottom side of the map. Look at the units lost tab here right now. Almost 100 units extra taken down for Ragnarok. Again, a lot of those are Zerglings, so that number's a little inflated, but it's still very efficient here by Bjorn, who's known for his impressive micro. Widowmine shots are going to drag back into the army a little bit of Bjorn, but cleans up a decent amount of those Zerglings, but not quite enough to prevent additional damage. A few of these Marauders are also going to get taken out as more harassment comes here on the lower left-hand side. It's just action all across the map here, Kozan.
Wow, I cannot believe that Ragnarok managed to deal with that so nicely, even without any creep in that area. And meanwhile, holding his own fourth base as well with the Queens. Just a few extra Zerglings and Banelings there. And yeah, he just won on most fronts there, didn't he? And now he's mining off the gold base. That's some clean stuff right there. He can start spreading creep from that spot. He can have his creep come getting in to connect with it. This is a big deal. Bjorn needs to find something to stop this, or find damage on a different area of this map.
Well, these Hydras are going to be able to start working away at the Widow mine count as well, using their range to an advantage. Oh, those were some decent mine shots. They did kind of stay to the right-hand side, so more Baneling's going to be able to keep rolling on in. Second mine shot, that's going to connect with a few more units there. That's going to slow down Ragnarok's push. And it is an orbital command out at the fourth base location, so Bjorn's going to have to do a little extra work to fortify that position. Not going to have a planetary to be able to anchor that into place, so more mines going to be implored there. It is possibly going to pull some of the aggression away from the bottom side of the map, where Ragnarok's taking advantage of that gold base.
Oh, I love how he's rotating these Zerglings around as well, going all the way across the map, making full use of what this battlefield has to offer. Doesn't quite work out this time around. The Zerglings get kind of trapped and caught, but the idea is there, and it's very much appreciated. Another attack for Bjorn, about to hit that gold base. Doesn't seem like we had a lot of creep spread coming from this area just quite yet. So really just now starting to get worked on, as the Marines and Marauders already present.
Oh, this is a really good start here for Bjorn, really bullying these Queens back. The Queens have a lot of energy. If they fall prematurely, that's a lot of value that they take with them, as units are going to be striking in a couple of different locations. Ragnarok wants to pull the focus away from this bottom base, but Bjorn is not going to back away easily here. He does manage to stutter step back with these Marines to limit the amount of damage from these Banelings, but it's still more and more units coming from the reinforcements of Ragnarok. He is playing from a bit of a disadvantage right now. Bjorn with an incredible army supply. He's going to be able to start overwhelming this army on the bottom side of the map, and having defended back at his fourth base, now these reinforcements are able to come and unify with this pushing force. Hydra's on the top side, though, having their way with those reinforcements, and Ragnarok able to push Bjorn back, but how long is the question here, Kozan? More and more of these units come streaming across the map.
Well, thank goodness Ragnarok there, still having a couple of Banelings, because he is about to capitulate here. It feels like army supply getting lower and lower for him, dropping down to the 60 supply now, almost doubled by Bjorn, as a stream of red is encroaching upon this position. The well, the tip of the spear seems to be getting a bit less pointy.
I mean, this is very far off a creep here for Ragnarok. Bjorn can capitalize on this with a giant stim forward. Look at that units lost at 578 to 207. It's just a very, very good exchange here for Bjorn as he's able to try and hold on. He's trying to limit the amount of damage here at the fourth base once again. But again, all eyes on that bottom base. Ragnarok trying to secure this opportunity. But like you said, the tip of the spear for Ragnarok starting to look a little less sharp here. 193 to 148. Bjorn has effectively been maxed out for the entirety of this push, and there's been no end in sight.
Yeah, he may even want to potentially consider just giving up this gold base, right? I mean, he's mined off of it for a long time. It mines out quickly. It's not a necessity for him to be fighting off of creep for keeping this gold base up. He still has other bases to work with. He still has the pocket base there as well. Although, again, right, could just mean that the attack of Bjorn gets redirected and he's immediately in more trouble again. So, desperately trying to keep that gold base alive, just not able to, and with it falls his hopes to win that game. We have a tied up series right now. That's how the game is balanced. Can't just win everything, Zerg. In the bottom left side, Ragnarok from Alpha X.
And his opponent, the top right, for the Shopify Rebellion, the Red Terran, Bjorn. He's got one pair of scissors hanging from that rack. Yep. I'm just constantly in awe of the background there. I mean, there's a lot to behold. It's like the picture that the longer you look at it, the more you see. I mean,
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I wonder what he used that pair of scissors for so far.
Probably slicing and dicing, just the same way that Bjorn sliced and diced Ragnarok in game number 2. But we're back to game number 1 opening. Pool first on the Zerg side, early wall at the natural on the top side. I mean, this is deja vu.
Have you ever used scissors for cutting pizza?
I have not, but I have just like a rolling cutter.
Right.
Like a little blade and you just roll just right over it.
Yeah, I use one of those as well, but I've seen people use scissors for cutting pizza. It works perfectly fine, but yeah. That's why I was wondering, maybe instead of a knife set, he just has a scissor, right? And he does all his chopping like that.
I mean, can you even call it chopping at that point if you're using a pair of scissors?
I think so. Well, how else would we be calling it?
Cutting?
Cutting? Yeah, but that's what a knife does, isn't it? That more so describes the functionality of a knife to me than chopping, perhaps.
Snipping? I could go for snipping.
Snipping? All right.
Maybe.
All right.
Like,
okay. We found a middle ground here.
It's possible. I definitely know if Behemoth were here right now, I mean, he would have the complete breakdown of the genealogy of the word cut and where the current artifact resource is on the internet that could talk to us about, okay, if it's this type of blade using this motion, we could like call it this. But if it's this type of blade, like there could be a whole breakdown. But I don't know if there's enough time.
Yeah, it would take up an hour or two, perhaps, but we can't. We don't have the time. We don't have the time right now.
So, look, I know there's a Nidus All-In happening, but this is important, people. We can't deviate. Don't distract me.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Right, Behemoth, a fellow Alpha X caster, of course. There's some great productions and stuff like that. Makes everything look good. Anyway. He would know about scissors and blades. And
absolutely. I'm fully expecting the follow-up on Discord later. He's going to watch this and he's going to be like, this is my moment. I was so sorry I couldn't be there. I apologize, but here's the follow-up.
Yep.
All right, so no information up on the high ground so far. It is, like I said, a similar opening to game number 1. Ragnarok's not going to fully capitalize on this opening just yet. This is a bit different in the sense that Bjorn's not going to come out on the map with those initial early Marines. So not going out on the hunt for those Overlords this time around, but I think there's a lot more opportunities for the Overlord to just stay poised and hidden away from the wandering eyes of these Marines. So it's not as much of an advantage for Bjorn to go out hunting, but it is going to be the same end game for his early push. It is going to have an armory. There is going to be Hellbats moving across the map as those Hellions are continuing to produce as well. As long as Bjorn doesn't have to try and micro away that Cyclone from the early aggression, I think he's going to be in a much better position to push this time around.
Yeah, very reminiscent indeed. It has me a bit worried because the previous time when he did this, right, we didn't have the Baneling Nest for Ragnarok just quite yet. It felt like there might be an opportunity, or perhaps, you know, the opportunity was as good as you could possibly hope for in that situation. And it just didn't really work out for him, right? But maybe this time around, he is going to be able to do a little bit better. The Zerglings did get a very fine surround the previous time. Perhaps that is something that won't happen this time. Ooh, good pickup on that Marine, actually. Saves him. Oh, there's the wraparound, though. On the Cyclone, onto the Marines, and... yeah, that's the end of this push again, it feels like.
I mean, it was a better protect with those Hellbats, but I mean the Hellbats are the fodder for the Marines, and their one job is to try and keep those Marines alive as long as possible, as they can stim into the Queens, but not the case this time around. And once again, Ragnarok's going to be able to benefit from more advanced positioning against his opponent, and Bjorn still has enough here to be able to deal some additional damage, but Ragnarok's read this book. He knows what's going to happen in the next chapter. He's already set and ready to go. The Banelings will be on the way here shortly. That lair coming in. Okay, now this is a decent amount of Hellbats. Ragnarok does still have to protect against this, but I think he's in a good position to try and overcome.
Alright, leaving one of his Queens behind. There's still a lot of Zerglings here ready to jump on top of this, but the Hellbats are quite numerous. It's quite terrifying to run in there with a majority of your Zerglings. So he's going one at a time, trying to just tank up the damage as the Queens poke away from afar. And that seems to have done the trick.
So that Banshee's going to get some additional damage here. They will have to stay... Ooh, that does get painfully low. The lair just now finishing up, so that Banshee's not going to be able to dodge in and out at this current moment. But another great defense by Ragnarok. He builds up the bank. He's going to spend it down, but much better engagement here. Units lost tab. Very even for both players. Ragnarok's got to be feeling good for that defense as his fourth base is underway.
Ooh, that is a big supply block, however. That is very big. He only now starts up those Overlords. Well, he's already at a sufficient amount of drones, to be fair, to be mining off of the 3 base. But the 4th base might be a little while before it has drones there. Okay, there we go. Now finally you're going to be able to start producing again.
This is just a very, very well executed opening here for Ragnarok, who needs to take advantage of the next step. Like you said, the supply block is important here. It does delay a little bit of the drone production, but I think also it delays the overwhelming army that could be coming right now for Ragnarok. He's going to try and stash some of this gas for Mutalisk to get in here. We do have Baneling speed on the way. That 1-1 timing's a tiny bit behind as well, so it is going to be a bit before Ragnarok's going to be able to push across the map, but that's just going to allow him to spread more creep. He's got a base in the lower right-hand corner, and if he can continue focusing on his economy here, he's going to capitalize on his defense.
Needs to have this Spore Crawler here. Not mining gas is a bit painful for Ragnarok with trying to buff up those Mutalisk forces. Going for 7 for the time being. Could be that he just sticks around that number and doesn't really go higher than that. We have seen some Broodlords action as well from time to time out of Ragnarok. It could be a follow-up if this game keeps going later down the line.
I think this needs to be a moment that Ragnarok kind of turns the ignition on his army production here. He does have more Zerglings on the way. Baneling speed finished up. Those Widow Mines, though, very crucial at defending against this overwhelming force. That Banshee has been doing incredible work. I think now it is finally going to get picked off by those reinforcing Mutalisk, but now Muta's able to get across the map. There's no turrets at that third base location just yet, so going to pull the workers and use those Marines defensively back at home. And now this is a kind of a complicating moment here. Good unit production up in the main will be able to push those away. A small amount of worker kills. Ragnarok hoping to find additional damage on top of that. Oh, and those Mutas gonna actually get on the return. They will, and that is going to be additional damage. Ragnarok needs those units back at home. He can't just afford to lose those Mutas. That's a lot of harassment potential that he needs to hang on to.
Yeah, that was a nice catch right there. Making more Mutalisks now, maybe because of it. Needs to have that threat there, or at least enough Mutalisks to pick up the Medivacs as soon as they try to dash off with all those infantry units. Alright. Oh, this is scary, man. His creep isn't all that far spread out here, is it? Like, Bjorn, every time is going to be able to get right up to the front door there and utilize this choke point here as a setup for his attacks. And, well, at least Ragnarok has a bit of creep to try and send units across. And maybe surround the attacking army. I think a lovely counterattack there. 18 SCVs to go down. That's what you want to see right now for Ragnarok. Then he's just buying time against this. The longer it takes Bjorn to do damage, right, the better it will be for Ragnarok.
Well, Ragnarok's just going to put his pedal to the metal here. He wants to force the issue on the opposite side of the map. He feels confident with the defense back at home. Muta's going to come in here and support this Ling predominant army, but that's a lot of Marines here against those Mutas. The Mutas are going to be expensive casualties in this push, and Bjorn's going to be able to capitalize on this on the opposite side of the map. Look at that army count, Kozan, 106 to 80. There's not nearly enough here to push this all away right away. Banelings will come streaming on in. How do the connections happen here? That's going to be good, but is it good enough? Bjorn able to continue pushing this down. It's 21 drones killed at this point. Bjorn's still very, very low on his worker count. He needs to find an additional damage here. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get it done. Ragnarok able to clean this up.
Yep, just has more Mutalisks coming in as they are quite necessary there. And, yeah, clean everything up. There's the Medivacs that we kind of needed to see before, perhaps, to bring that infantry back to a place of safety. It just wasn't there, and suddenly Ragnarok now ahead on supply. He's looking sharp. That one Widowmine has been the bane of his existence. Now finally gets rid of it.
Well, I think this is an interesting moment here for Ragnarok, who is down a complete upgrade set. It's 2-2 Bio Forces versus the 1-1 Ground Forces of Ragnarok, and it is showing here. So even though there is a significant army or like supply count lead, it's mostly in workers, and it's definitely not in army. +2 Carapace only now getting started up right now. This is a bump that Bjorn can overcome here.
Yeah, Bjorn needs to hold on to his main base, of course. There's no Banelings here, so it's rough to really gain entry anywhere. Ragnarok is going to lose most of his attack. He still has the bottom right side kind of set up as a defensive area. He's rebuilding a Baneling nest, so perhaps that has fallen again here. Oh, but that is still quite a few Banelings. Trying to get up into the main base. The Marauders tanking that quite lovely. And making sure a lot of those Banelings don't manage to get in. That's a wonderful spread as well. He needs to do really well here. And you know what? I think Bjorn may have just kind of capped himself in the game here with this move.
I think he might have just secured a game here. That's what, 4 hatcheries that just fell down. Might have been 3 hatcheries, but even still, that's an incredible amount of production damage for Ragnarok. That's a lot of production he's not going to be able to wrestle with here. He does have some decent tech units coming out, more Mutas to support the forces in the sky, but other than the base at the 3rd, I mean, there's not a whole lot that Bjorn really lost here. His production's been able to click away.
Yeah. Yeah, that and some of the army here. Having that 3rd base of his is a very big deal indeed. As he now has taken the supply lead. Will be coming in here again. There's not that many Banelings. The Widowmine could be sharp. Ooh, doesn't really manage to hit anything of importance.
Denying +2 Carapace. That's an incredibly important move here for Bjorn. I don't even think he realizes that that was maybe a deciding factor in this push. Bjorn, with incredible timing and positioning, is able to rescue this game, and he moves on to the winner's match as a result.